Is it easier to win an Oscar after perfecting a role first on the Broadway stage? Hey, it's Michael, aka Oscar Man. And whether or not it's easier, I'll quote directly from my favorite Best Actress winner, Shirley Booth, who said after her victory for 1952's comeback Little Sheba, "I don't think it's fair I win. There is all the difference in the world between playing a character more than 1,000 times, as I did, and getting your lines on the set in the morning and having to face the camera with them in the afternoon. Do you agree?" By the way, Booth not only won an Oscar as Best Actress for her first film, but she became the first to also win the Tony Award for the same role. Several others in this video will follow suit. For example, Paul Scofield reprised his Tony-winning role as Sir Thomas More for the 1966 film version of A Man for All Seasons, only his fourth movie.
You may suppose I have objections. All you know is that I will not swear to it, for which you cannot lawfully harm me further. But if you were right in supposing me to have objections, and right again in supposing my objections to be treasonable, the law would let you cut my head off.
Scofield also won awards from BAFTA, Golden Globe, New York Film Critics, and National Board of Review.
I am commanded by the king to be brief, and since I am the king's obedient subject, brief I will be. I die his majesty's good servant, but God's first.
Like Shirley Booth, Paul Scofield also won the Triple Crown of Acting, adding an Emmy to his mantle for 1969's Male of the Species. Nominated for a Grammy for the spoken word recording of A Man for All Seasons. Of course, you all know about Funny Girl, the stage musical and the film. Barbra Streisand made a smashing debut in both arenas, first triumphing in 1964 with her performance as Fanny Brice.
Height of nonchalance, furnishing a bed in restaurants, well a bit of dinner never hurt, but guess who is gonna be dessert?
However, she didn't win the Tony Award that year, losing to
Before the parade passes by, I'm gonna get some life back into my life.
When it came time to make the film version of Funny Girl, Columbia Pictures wanted Shirley MacLaine instead of someone unknown to movie audiences. MacLaine refused the offer. Plus, producer Ray Stark, Fanny Brice's son-in-law and owner of the rights to the musical, basically told Columbia Pictures, no Streisand, no film.
Hey, somebody laid an egg on your table. Well, what is it?
A blue marble egg. I got it in Rome ages ago. It's one of my favorite things. So I thought you might like to have it.
Blue marble egg and yellow roses. You went to a lot of trouble even though you weren't sure I would show up.
The rest, of course, is history, with a special added twist when it came to the Oscars, which you all know about.
Hello, gorgeous.
Another who created a character from a musical that went on to an Oscar-winning role was Yul Brynner for his iconic performance in The King and I.
I cannot stand all the time, and in this country no one's head shall be higher than king's. From now on in presence you shall so conduct like all other subjects.
You mean on the floor?
All subjects do so.
During its inception, Rodgers and Hammerstein saw the role of the king as a supporting one to the show's lead, Gertrude Lawrence. Yet the duo wanted a well-known theatrical actor to play it anyway. However, their first and second choices, Rex Harrison and Noel Coward, were both unavailable, and time was running out before the show was to open. Yul Brynner's audition was memorable, but not for the right reasons. Richard Rodgers recalled Brynner not exactly sounding like the performer they were seeking, but his appearance was perfect for the part, and from then on, this became Brynner's signature look. Yul Brynner won the Tony Award, but for featured actor, not lead, because at that time, only actors billed above the title were eligible for the lead designation. As for the film, Brenner was the only choice for the king, though he threw his weight around before production began. At first, Brenner wanted only to direct, preferring Marlon Brando playing his part. That obviously didn't come to pass. Then, when 20th Century Fox chose Dinah Shore for the role of Anna, Brenner insisted that Deborah Carr be cast instead, even though she was not a singer. Enter Marnie Nixon. The finished film was a critical and box office success.
You are a very difficult woman.
Perhaps so, Your Majesty.
But you'll observe care that head shall never be higher than mine. When I shall sit, you shall sit. When I shall kneel, you shall kneel, etc., etc., etc.
In addition to winning the Tony and the Oscar, Yul Brynner is at present the only actor to have played a lead role in a Rodgers and Hammerstein production, both on the stage and on the screen. He also played the role in the short-lived TV series. Josephine Hull was brought over from the stage by Universal to recreate her role of Vita Louise Simmons, the daffy sister of Harvey, the title character of the successful 1944 Broadway play and 1950 film.
Why, look at that. It's my coin purse. It must have been in there all the time. I could have paid that cab driver myself. Harvey.
In one of the rare instances where a comedic performance received an Oscar, Josephine Hull had to convince audiences that she saw the invisible Harvey when others didn't. In fact, co-star James Stewart once stated that Hull had the most difficult role in the film since she had to believe and not believe in the invisible rabbit at the same time.
The 24th of last April. He's Taurus, Taurus the bull. I'm Leo, and Myrtle's on the cusp.
You have him with you now?
Oh, yes. He's outside waiting in a taxicab. I told him to wait. He always does what I tell him.
I see. Is he married?
No, Elwood never married. He always stayed with Mother. He was a great home boy. He loved his home.
Yeah?
Others who essayed the role of Vita Louise included Helen Hayes and Swoosie Kurtz. Known primarily for her work on the stage, Josephine Hull made one more film following her Oscar win before her death in 1957 at the age of 80. Back in 1941, Lillian Hellman's Watch on the Rhine made its Broadway debut. Paul Lucas reprised his stage role for the film, second billed to Bette Davis, the Queen of Warner Brothers.
There's no substance to you, nothing that could be held to anything. You are not even a coward. If I tried to frighten you into silence, by tomorrow you would have forgotten your fear. You are a fool. You play with men's lives in order to have money to live in worthlessness, you and all your shabby kind. Tonight, before you come home, I pray for you. I pray that you will have done nothing, that I will not have to touch you. I do not like to kill this way.
However, Davis fought against the billing because hers was a supporting role, but the studio insisted, going so far as to give some of Lucas's lines in the play to Davis.
I think it's all over now. There's nothing you can do about it. It's the way it had to be. Going away now. I don't think he'll ever come back anymore. Never, never, never.
Even though Paul Lucas had appeared in dozens of films before Watch on the Rhine, he was not a Hollywood star. The Hungarian-born actor was not the studio's first choice, as producer Hal Wallace wanted the more recognizable Charles Boyer instead. For his performance in Watch on the Rhine, Paul Lucas won the Oscar, the New York Film Critics Award, and he became the first winner of the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Drama. Of course, no one can forget Anne Bancroft and Patty Duke in The Miracle Worker.
C-R-O-S. Sewing.
Sewing, it has a name, and sewing isn't it?
The unforgettable stage production, which told the story of how Annie Sullivan taught blind and deaf Helen Keller to speak, was a sensation when it made its Broadway debut in 1959. Bancroft won the Tony for her performance, but curiously, Patty Duke was not nominated for her work as Helen Keller. Were both actresses shoo-ins for the film version? Hardly. United Artists, unsure as to the box office appeal of the story, wanted to safeguard its investment of $200,000 by casting Elizabeth Taylor in the role of Annie Sullivan. Taylor was very interested in playing the part, but director Arthur Penn would not make the film without Anne Bancroft, at the time not well known to moviegoers.
I'd like to know what Helen will find there not on visiting days. One ward was full of the old women, crippled, blind, most of them dying, but even if what they had was catching, there was nowhere else to move them. That's where they put us. There were younger ones across the hall, prostitutes mostly with TB and epileptic fits, and a couple of the kind who keep after other girls.
And Patty Duke was considered too old to play a 7-year-old girl, but with Bancroft now set for the film, the studio relented and cast her as well. I think it's safe to say they made the right decision. Vivien Leigh became the only non-holdover from the original cast of A Streetcar Named Desire, joining Marlon Brando, Carl Malden, and Kim Hunter for the film version. A Streetcar Named Desire became the first film to win 3 acting Oscars. It should have been the first to win 4. The Tony Awards did not begin including supporting performances until the year after A Streetcar Named Desire made its Broadway debut in 1947. Otherwise, I believe Malden and Hunter would have won that award as well. As Mitch and Stella, Carl Malden and Kim Hunter helped to make the Tennessee Williams classic an iconic masterclass in film acting.
I weigh 207 pounds. I'm 6 feet 1 and 1/2 inches tall on my bare feet, without shoes on, and that's what I weigh stripped.
Oh, my goodness, it's awe-inspiring.
But my weight is not a very interesting subject to talk about.
Stanley's always smashed things. On our wedding night, as soon as we came in here, he snatched off one of my slippers and rushed about the place smashing the light bulb.
Many other Oscar winners repeated their Tony-winning roles, including Rex Harrison in My Fair Lady.
Men are so decent, such regular chaps, ready to help you through any mishaps, ready to buck you up whenever you are glum. Why can't a woman be a chum?
Jack Albertson in The Subject Was Roses.
There is something.
Take you and your own money, for instance.
I want to know what it is.
For all I know, we're millionaires.
I want to know why she walked out.
Just between us chickens, how much do you have, Bob?
Answer me.
And Joel Grey in Cabaret.
Welcome.
Those who didn't receive a Tony but still went on to win an Oscar include Judy Holliday in Born Yesterday.
You don't say.
Yes.
What are you, some kind of gigolo?
Not exactly.
What's the idea?
And Eileen Heckert in Butterflies Are Free.
I do not intend to pay money to see nudity, obscenity, and degeneracy.
Mrs. Baker, these things are all a part of life.
I know, Mr. Centauri. So is diarrhea. But I wouldn't classify it as entertainment.
Going all the way back to 1911, Disraeli made its Broadway debut with George Arliss in the lead. Fast forward to 1929, when Arliss won the Best Actor Oscar for playing the title role in the film.
The issue, gentlemen, is this. Whether you are content to be a comfortable England, meeting in due course for the sad inevitable fate, or whether you will be a great country, an imperial country, A country where your sons, when they rise, will rise to paramount positions and obtain not merely the esteem of their own countrymen, but the esteem of the world.
How many of you remember Steve Martin in Roxanne? The 1987 comedy was a retelling of the play Cyrano de Bergerac, which made its Broadway debut in the 1920s. An actor by the name of Walter Hampton originated the title character. In 1946, Jose Ferrer took over the role on Broadway and received raves for his interpretation of Cyrano. Yet when it came to transferring the play to film, United Artists, fearful that no one could pronounce the title, nor even the star's name, cut the budget as well as several scenes. Plus, 4 characters from the play were combined into 2. Unfortunately, their fears were correct, as the 1950 film version of Cyrano de Bergerac was a critical and box office failure. However, Jose Ferrer came out of it unscathed, receiving raves for his performance, winning an Oscar as well as the Golden Globe Award.
But to sing, to laugh, to dream, to walk in my own way, free with an eye to see things as they are. A voice that means manhood. To cock my hat where I choose. Add a word, a yes, a no, to fight or write.
Though he was in New York and could not attend the ceremony, Jose Ferrer accepted his Oscar via audio transmission.
Also to you, ladies and gentlemen of the Academy, who voted for me, you must know that this means more to me than just the honor accorded to an actor. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for what I consider a vote of confidence and an act of faith, and believe me, I will not let you down.
Sitting beside him was Judy Holliday, whose acceptance speech for Born Yesterday was unfortunately not heard because the audio signal was lost. As the Best Actor of 1950, Jose Ferrer became the first Puerto Rican to win an Oscar, the first actor to win a Tony, an Oscar for the same role, and he is also the only actor to receive those 2 awards, plus an Emmy nomination for playing the same character. Oh, his nephew is also a well-known Oscar winner. There is one more stage to film to Oscar winner I want to discuss. But first, I want to acknowledge each of you for joining me, no matter when or from where you're watching. The channel has viewers from all over the world, demonstrating the universal love of film and the Oscars. After the video concludes with an Oscar winner sharing my same thoughts, I would greatly appreciate it if you take a second to click on the like button. And if you're not already a subscriber, consider joining what has become an amazing community of people whose knowledge of film never ceases to impress. In addition to a new video every week, there are daily polls where you vote, just like a member of the Motion Picture Academy. Warning, you are now entering a category fraud-free zone. That's right, it's time to discuss Viola Davis in Fences. I'll get to the movie in a minute. But first, August Wilson's Pulitzer Prize-winning play made its Broadway debut in 1987, with Tony Awards going to James Earl Jones for lead actor and Mary Alice for supporting actress. A 2010 revival won Tonys for lead actor Denzel Washington and lead actress Viola Davis. The film version of Fences was released in 2016 to widespread acclaim, especially for Washington and Davis, as a married couple facing several challenges in the 1950s.
Everything that boy do, he do for you. He wants you to say, good job, son. That's all.
I ain't got time for that, Rose. He's alive. He's healthy. He's got to make his own way. I made mine. Ain't nobody gonna hold his hand when he get out there in the world.
Times have changed, Troy. People change. The world changing, and you can't even see it.
As the long-suffering wife Rose, Davis wiped the floor with anyone else on the screen, even co-star Washington. It was a tour de force performance, emphasis on force.
You're not the only one who's got wants and needs, but I held on to you, Troy. I took all my feelings,
my wants and needs and dreams, and I buried them inside you. I planted a seed and watched and prayed over. I planted myself inside you and waited to bloom. It didn't take me no 18 years to realize the soil was hard and rocky and it was never gonna bloom.
Many believe this would be the one that would garner Davis her long-awaited Oscar, following 2 previous nominations. She should have won for doubt. Okay, I know the subject of which category Davis should have been placed is a major source of consternation for many, and it is brought up each time her Oscar win is mentioned on this channel. But sorry, I'm not going there. I don't care if Viola Davis was placed in lead actor. I feel hers is one of the most deserving in Oscar history. I'll even go so far as to state that I feel that none of the performances following Davis's win in the category have been worthy of an Oscar. So, now it's your turn to share your thoughts on actors who won Oscars for playing the same roles on stage and film. Were the ones mentioned here deserving? Are there others you can think of? As always, I'm ready for your insights. And until the next video, here's what I would say if I won an Oscar.
I hope this is not a mistake, because I won't give it back for anything in the world. Thank you very much.